Would you like to introduce yourself? Karen?
Oh, hi, I'm Karen.
And what brings you here today? Would you like to share some about what this journey has been like for you?
Okay, it's interesting how I got here. My ex-husband found out about this place first, and he came first, and then had brought me two of our children to a couple of the classes, and then had suggested it for me. I really had my doubts when I first came, because before I had come, I had been in private therapy for about 10 to 12 years. Right before I came, I actually had a breakdown and had been in a psychiatric hospital for about 6 months. So I really had my doubts. I mean, if private therapy couldn't help me, if being in a psychiatric hospital couldn't help me, how could a weekend workshop help me? But it was exactly what I needed.
What happened? I mean, how could we have done so much more than all of that?
Part of my history, what led up to all that was I was working through molest issues, okay? To survive the molest, I could dissociate, I could numb out. So 1 hour a week in my therapist office, I could numb out, I could shut down, you know, didn't get too much. When I was in the hospital, it was a real crisis situation. I was very suicidal at the time. So they just kind of maintained and tried to keep you alive, physically and emotionally. Here, when I first came, first off, there were other people that were working on molest issues. I finally felt like I wasn't alone. Other people had experienced and felt the same things I did. Because of the molest, I had numbed out at a very, very young age. So this idea of feelings was totally foreign to me, Greek. Didn't think I had a feeling. Couldn't put a name on a feeling if you hit it with me in the face with it, you know. So to finally find out those feelings and put names to them and experience them. And I think the biggest breakthrough too for me was there was only one person in the house growing up who was allowed to get angry, and that was my mother. And I didn't realize till that first weekend how angry my little girl was at her grandfather for what she'd done. To try to even fight or resist him had severe consequences. So to let that little girl have a voice and finally let them know, or at least let her know and express how angry she was about what happened to her was a real breakthrough for me.
And that little girl was you?
Was me. It was the little girl who went through the molest and everything. So that was a real breaking point for me.
So the anger ended up giving you more power, more choices?
Yeah, I was scared. Like I said, at first I was scared of the anger because, again, coming through and doing this as long as I have now, I realized the anger I saw growing up was not anger. It was rage, okay, which is not a healthy form of anger. And I had been afraid for it of years and years and years. When I found my good, healthy anger, I was able to set boundaries. And it gave me a lot of power. It wasn't a negative. It was a real positive thing and a positive tool in my life, or it became a positive tool.
And so this all happened the first time, or?
No, I have to admit, because I had been through so much, my first 3 classes I came through as a student, just because I had so much to unload. I think my second class, all I did was cry. Which for me was very healing. I know often we say, well, you know, you can do this at home. And that was what good about Directions was good for me, was as a child, I knew how to cry alone by myself. Nobody cared. Nobody gave me a damn if I cried in my room. But here I cried, and there were people there to hold me and validate me and say, yes, your tears are good. Yes, your tears are real. And that was very healing for me. You know, I knew how to cry alone by myself very well. But to have people there and hold me while I cried and comfort me was the healing process for me. So.
And that was, then you were able to shift things inside of you because of that?
Yes, yes. It took a while. There was a lot of shifting, and the molest was bad, but then sometimes I think what my mother did to me sometimes, because she was very critical, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, that I sometimes think it had a more permanent lasting effect on me than the molest. Because I worked a lot of times on working through, I had no self-esteem. I had no self-worth. I thought I was just this, horrible, awful person. And it took a little bit longer changing those belief systems that she had instilled in me and changing them into a positive belief system.
And so how long ago was this?
I've been doing this for 16 years though.
16 years.
But I don't want to scare people. I mean, the first few times was really intense. Each time it gets easier. I come back more as assisting because I like giving back. It's kind of like my every year immunization, a little booster shot. It's something I'm going to be working on the rest of my life. It's a process. But I keep coming just because I really believe in paying it forward too. That I honestly, I would not be here today if it weren't for New Directions, because at the time when I came through, I was in so much emotional pain that I did not think I could live through it anymore. And there were times I was suicidal just because I didn't think I could handle it. I learned through this weekend that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that I do have the power and the strength to make it through the emotional pain. And the more you feel it, the less it gets. It doesn't last forever. So that was a big realization for me too.
Has this affected your family at all?
Greatly. I ended up marrying my mother and my father, grandfather, with my ex-husband. It took me coming through New Directions to see how unhealthy that relationship was for me. And I got the courage and the support to finally leave that abusive relationship. Through New Directions, helped me get the self-esteem and the self-worth and the courage to go back to school, which before I didn't think I had it in me, because I had the message growing up all my life that I was stupid. I have a learning disability, so I was kind of like ingrained in me growing up that, you're stupid, you're an idiot child. And I believed this until I went back to college. And I graduated from college, Fresno State, and I have my BA in psychology. And then just a few months ago, I even took another leap, and I'm back in college working on my master's, which is something I would have never even dreamed of 16 years ago.
Master's in?
Marriage Family Therapy. Again, I want to pay it forward. There were people who believed in me. There were people who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. And now I'd like to help other people with that.
You feel like you believe in your now?
Oh, yes. Little things like I used to look to my ex to make me happy. I thought I needed other people to make me happy, and what I learned out of this workshop too is I'm the one who has the power to make myself happy, nobody else. And once I realized that and took it over, I am very happy. Another thing about this weekend that helped me see is I thought I was destined to live a life of misery. That was just my lot in life, okay? Growing up, my life was miserable. Spending those years with my ex-husband was miserable, so I thought that was my lot in life, and it's not. And coming through this workshop, my life now, it's all gravy. Life is just, it couldn't be much better. It's just, it's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's just been wonderful. I didn't think it could be this good.
How's your relationship with your kids now?
Oh, I have a great relationship with my kids. My kids have been here with me. When I was going through my mental health and my breakdown, I wasn't there for them just because I emotionally couldn't, but that didn't minimize what they were feeling and the neglect and the abandonment they felt. And so we've all come through here at different times with my kids and worked on that, and they were allowed to tell me how angry and hurt they were at me at that point in time, because that's where they were at. And we have great relationships with them now. I mean, they always say, Mom, we're so proud of you, you know, compared to where I was. They're just really proud of me, and I'm really proud of them.
Husband too?
I wasn't going to after I left my kids' father to divorce my ex. I really wasn't, didn't want to get married, and yet I met my now husband Brad, and it's a totally different relationship. He's been here too, so we have a common language. We work on things different. We talk about things different. We can talk about from a feeling point of view. We have a whole lot of different tools that I didn't have before in regards to making a healthy relationship, and we really do. It's a really good relationship.
And what do you do career-wise?
Career-wise, I work with Fresno County and the Welfare to Work program, and we help young mothers and people who are on welfare to get the tools and training so they can get off of cash aid. And so I help them develop a plan to either get training, if they need mental health services, substance abuse. I truly, truly am blessed to where I really love my job. So, again, I get to help and work with people.
Okay. Sounds like things are going well for you.
Very well.
All right. Do you feel like this is kind of your purpose in being here?
Definitely, definitely. Interesting, because before I didn't have a purpose in life. I was just floundering around in life. But now I've got centered and know who I am. Yeah, I do have a purpose in life. I feel like, not that I would wish them a less on anyone, but, you know, when God gives you, when you get lemons, make lemonade. And I want to turn it to something positive and help other people. You know, I don't want what I went through in vain. If I can help somebody else go through what they're going and help them through that process to see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, you know, then yeah, that's my purpose.
And you've taken that into New Directions as well, and you're involved in a big way, right?
Yes, I'm the course manager. I've gone through the instructor course, and I love coming up and helping instruct and help the students. And each class always has something new to offer. I still, doing this 16 years, I'm still learning and still picking up from other people. And it's always new and different, and just always a new place to grow.
Have you seen results? Have you seen changes in other people?
Oh, definitely, definitely. A lot of different people. I mean, I could go on and say, you know, just everybody. I don't think there is nobody who has not walked through here and has not been affected some way positively. You know, they've all come out here taking something good with them.
Okay, is there anything you wanted to say, one suggestion or last comment to someone who hasn't taken the class before?
When I walked in, like Michelle had said earlier, you know, deer in headlights, I didn't know what to expect. But if you trust the process and you don't have to know how, but they'll help you through, it is very rewarding. Again, I mean, everybody's kept saying it's a life changer, it's a life changer. I cannot reiterate, it's a life changer. Really, I mean, 16 years ago, I couldn't be sitting here talking in front of you because who am I? What do I have to say? You know, I'm a nobody. I mean, that was my belief system back then. And that's not who it is now. So it is a life changer. Even if you just come to one class, you cannot even walk out of here without taking something home with you.
Well, we appreciate you doing this. We appreciate your involvement with New Directions. You, as I've told you many times, you're like poster child for how you could change something from so bad and be in such a mess to changing everything around. You've changed everything, and it's been beautiful to watch you grow. And nice to be a part of your process.
Well, and something too I'd like to say about what I picked up in New Directions is we always have choices. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I learned through this for my life. I thought I ran around my life as a victim. I'm not a victim anymore. I have choices. I can choose some days to let it get me down, and I can choose other days not to. But it is so empowering to know that I can make that choice now. And that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned out of coming here is I have choices now.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.